Yesterday class was not recorded, so the 5 minutes, 5 second video is uploaded.
Yeah.
But you have any doubts in this software levels, whatever we discussed yesterday in this dynamic testing part?
No.
So in this dynamic testing, there will be a white box and the black box testing. So white box testing is done by the coders. So who are the developing the application? It will be done by the developers. So what it has is unit testing is like whenever they are doing coding, they have to use some kind of condition, some loops, or some 2 to 3 lines of codes make one condition or make a statement. So checking that 2 to 3 lines of code is a unit testing. So that kind of conditions and statements all in combined, they will make a functionality. So checking that functionality is called as an integration testing. So while this integration testing is happening, there may be some modules missing. So if you are doing a third module, if you are implementing a third module currently, there may not be have a fourth module. So there is no fourth module, but he has to navigate to some page as there is no fourth module. So for that navigation, he will take the dummy one. So likewise, we will have two approaches, like top-down approach and the bottom-up approach. Top-down approach means he will come from the top, like from the first page to the second page. As the second page is not implemented, he will just create a dummy page. That is the second sub page. That sub page is called as a stub there. When it comes to bottom up, he will come from bottom to up. So like second module is already implemented, but when we are clicking something on second module, it should redirect to first module, which is not yet implemented. So the first module is top on the second module. So the top one is not implemented yet. So the bottom one is only implemented. So that top one, they will take as a dummy one. So that top thing is called as a driver. So when the take the top module as a dummy one, they will take it as they will call it as a driver. If they take the sub module or the next module as a dummy one, they will call it as a sub. Okay. And yeah, Aditi, you have joined. Hello. Fine. Okay, if you have any questions, just ping in the chat. Okay, so that is the white box testing. Black box testing is whatever the testing done by the testers. This will be done by developers. So black box testing is done by the testers. So testing people will do a lot kind of testing. There will be a lot of types. So these are all the lot of types. So the functional and the non-functional testing. Functional testing means so whatever the testing that will include any kind of action in the application, that kind of testing we call it as a functional testing. Non-functional testing is so there will be less actions in that, like checking the design part, checking the UI part, checking the usability, compatibility. Likewise, so in the functional testing, we will check the actions, navigation flow, the applications, the main scope of the application. It is as per the doc or not, we will check that in the functional testing. So these are the few testings of the functional. Positive and negative testings in the sense, positive means checking what are the valid scenarios. Negative means checking what are the invalid scenarios. So if the username you enter correctly, so that is a valid scenario. That will comes under a positive test. So if you enter the username incorrectly, that is an invalid scenario. That is a negative testing. We will check that application, how the application will behave if the mail ID is invalid. It has to give some kind of error or something without any crashes on that and closing the application. So that cases will be covered under the negative testing. So smoke testing is like, so whenever some kind of module is developed by the developer, he releases a build. Once he releases a build, we will go through them. We will go on the main part of that scope. Whatever the scope is there for that build, we will go on the main part of the scope and we will confirm that that build is ready for testing or not. So that we will call as a smoke testing. So retesting and regression testing. So most of the cases, these both will be asked as an interview, like differences, not like a definitions. So the difference is whenever something is already tested and you're testing it again, that we will call as a retesting. And the regression testing is whenever you're testing just to confirm it was working fine or not when it is already working fine. Means, for example, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 modules. Each module is integrated to each other thing. So one is integrated with two is integrated with one and three is integrated with two and four. Likewise, every module has some integration between the below and above modules. At that point, you got an issue at the third module. You will raise an issue will be fixed by the developer in the third module. So what happens whenever the issue is fixing, developer has to do some modifications in the third module. Like he has to do some code changes there. While he was doing some code changes that might affect second module or fourth module, it was nearer to the third module. So that code changes may affect second and fourth module. To confirm that the second and fourth module are not impacted anything, to just that confirmation testing is we call as a regression part. And checking that third module that the bug is fixed or not, that we will call as a retesting. So that is the difference between the retesting and the regression testing. So database testing. Database testing means validating the data is storing successfully or not in the database. So and if any kind of data is modified, that modified data is storing at the correct place in the database in the same table, and it was modifying and it was removing the previous data, existing data, and it was replacing with the new data or not. And like to check whether how much the database can be capable of, like by loading thousands of names, 10,000 of names, how much it can store by checking the database volume of that table. So these all comes under the database system. Exhaustive testing means checking all the possible scenarios. For example, there is a minimum of 5,000 amount that can be transferred, maximum of 5 lakh rupees of amount that can be transferred. To check all the possible scenarios, we have to transfer 5,000, 5,001, 5,002, 5,003. Likewise, we have to go to 5 lakhs. So every possible scenario will be covered like that. So that kind of testing is called as an exhaustive testing. So most of the cases, exhaustive testing will not be preferred, like it will need a huge resources and it's a very time-taking process. That kind of in-detail testing is not needed in any application. And end-to-end testing. End-to-end testing means, as the name states, it's from everything in the application. Everything will be covered in the applications from the starting to the end of the application. Adhoc testing means testing when there is no time for the testing. So we will do the testing without any documentation, without any test cases. We will just go to the application with our knowledge, whatever the testing knowledge we had, whatever the application knowledge we had in the that experience we had in that project. So by using that thing, we will test the application thoroughly. Exploratory testing means we will explore the application. This exploratory testing can be done by a new people who are new to application. People who are new to application can explore, but the people who have experience in all the application can't explore because they already know what is the next pages and what are the options they had, what are the navigations they had. So that exploratory testing will be done by the new people. So if you are joining to any kind of new project, they will just give you the website on the first day, and they will say like, you just go to the website, whatever you assume that this is a bug and whatever you assume that that needs to be suggested to someone, you just make a point of them and share it to us. They will say like that. Then you will just explore throughout the website, whatever they give, throughout the application they give. That we will call as an exploratory testing. Monkey testing is also same like an adhoc testing. So in that monkey testing, we will test whatever the functionalities and modules, whatever we remember, like what we jump from one model to another model without any specific flow, without any specific documentation or anything. Like we will check the first module and directly we'll go to fifth module and directly we'll go to third module, and in that third one we will go to some other minor functionality, and later from that minor functionality we directly go to fifth module, some other minor functionality. Likewise, there is no a specific process of that testing. So that kind of testing is called as a monkey testing. So coming to the non-functional part. So non-functional part is mostly related to the applications behavior states and application design states and applications, how the application works in different environments, that kind of things. So GUI testing means checking the designs, checking the spellings, alignments, and color codes. So as per the design, if as the application is correctly implemented or not, the design part is correctly implemented or not. And usability testing, how user friendly the application is. So how it was easy to understand for an user, how it was easy to navigate to an user. So that kind of testing is called as an usability testing. Compatibility testing, in a sense, testing the same application in the different platforms. For example, there is a Facebook website. We are testing the same website in the Chrome browser, in the IE browser, in the Edge browser, in the Safari, and we are just looking to that application in all over where it can be compatible of. So it can be compatible of mobile devices, iOS devices, and we'll go through iOS versions and Android versions like Android 10, Android 11, Android 12, iOS 14, 13, 12. Likewise, so depending upon the compatibility requirement, we will check in every device and every browser. Installation testing. So installation testing, in a sense, when we are installing any application, some kind of files should be stored in the device. That files are storing or not. If storing, some kind of files needs to be hidden, and some kind of files need not to be hidden. So those are hiding or not. Those the user should not have an access to use them in the local device. So he was trying to access or not. And also while uninstalling, we are removing all the details that needs to be removed from the device along with the application. So that kind of testing will come under the installation testing. Security and performance. Security and the performance, there will be a different testers. It will be a totally separate team. So security in the sense that the how the application vulnerability is, it was easy to hack or not. So how the paths are looking, how the DB structure is, how the architecture they are using in the code, those kind of things will comes under the security testing. Performance testing is also they had a separate team. So performance testing in the sense how the application behavior when it has a huge number of load. Like if 10,000 people are using this application at one time, so how the application is behaving. If 1 lakh people are using the application at the same time, how the application is loading. So that kind of things will comes under the performance testing. Recovery testing in a sense. So whenever we are removing some kind of software or any application, so it has some kind of features like, so whenever next time if we install that, it should take the data from the old software. To take the data from the old software, we will store it somewhere. So that storing part will be covered under the installation part, but while reinstalling the application, that stored part is able to get the new application and the data is showing in the new application. That data is recovering from the old application to the new application. That kind of testing is called as in recovery testing. And next, user acceptance testing. So acceptance testing is nothing but the testing done by the client side. Like if the client is accepting the product or not. So alpha level is like, in this alpha level, the application still in development mode. It will be accessible only through the internal team members who are included in the development team, testing team, who are included to that company and that project. So they can only access the alpha level applications. So that testing that kind of application is called as an alpha testing. Beta level in the sense the application is mostly done and it can be available for them few people outside of the project. So they may be external, and for this beta they have to apply some of the applications, they have to apply to be a beta tester for that. So it will be available in the public, but everyone can't install these beta applications. So these beta applications are not stable. So these are not the stable versions, they may have some kind of issues. So after beta, everything is fixed, they will provide it to the live. So that we will call as in stable build. So that is the user acceptance part. Okay, this we all discussed yesterday. You have any questions in that dynamic testing part?
No.
Okay. And the new joiners, don't worry, we will have an extra session. So I will just explain you what all happened in the previous sessions. And meantime, you can also go to some of the videos we had. Okay. And gray box testing. So gray box testing is nothing but a combination of this white box and the black box. So we will call this a gray box testing. So this is the express session. Actually, I forgot to resume the recording. So that's how you guys miss it. And next, today we are going to discuss about STLC as well as some of the testing principles. So why we use testing principles in a sense? Why we use testing principles in a sense? Some things some people can't change. So those we will put it in the testing principles. Like so, whenever someone say there should be zero bugs in any software, there can't be a zero bugs. There can't be zero bugs. So any software that can't be a bug free. So there will be at least a minor bugs. What's happening? Give me a minute. My mouse is doing something. Okay, I will restart my device. Just join the link again. Okay.
Okay.